8th, 2024, 2 p.m. legislative session of the Board of County Commissioners. Please let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present in the conference room. We have Commissioners Jordan, Waldrop, French, and Kearns, and we are joined virtually by Commissioner Cuney. For the record, there was no written comment on any of our agenda items that we'll be voting on today, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, that will bring us to open public forum. We have 5 individuals who have signed up, so we will cue the clock for 3 minutes apiece. When you are called, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. We will lead off with Susie Hokinson.
Susie Hokinson. I live at 1315 West Woodside Place, in that little 1 mile wide strip of Spokane that goes down to Francis. And it would be nice to join the city, but it's all the same thing. Anyway, I missed you last week because I had COVID, but I got to watch you all for the first time, and that was kind of fun. So once again, I am asking you to consider adopting a land acknowledgement statement. It's been 144 years since President Rutherford Hayes created the Spokane Reservation, thus denying the Spokane tribe from ownership of their ancestral lands. I normally don't read anything, but I want this to be right, so now it's not. Anyway, 144 years since Spokane Reservation was created, thus denying the Spokane tribe ownership of their ancestral lands. I call this theft. My U.S. and my Canadian ancestors lived on these lands and were able to pass them down or sell them. Thus, I can own my home. If anyone tried to take away my land, we would all call it theft. As I've said numerous times, I'm embarrassed to say the Pledge of Allegiance if I have not first acknowledged a land acquisition statement. And I believe all of us should have learned both in grade school. Many other public and private landowners, especially cities and schools around, have adopted a land acknowledgement statement. The city of Spokane did this in March of 2021, which is over 4 years ago. I've discussed this with numerous Indigenous people, and they say, well, that's not ours to ask them to do it. It's not ours to write it. This is for people of the city, the county, to create one and start using it. I'm going to read the city library's land acknowledgement. Oh, I'm talking too much. I've chosen to leave out the correct titles in, hopefully in the Salish School, we'll be able to do it later. Okay. All Spokane Public Library buildings sit on the traditional homelands of the 4 bands of the Spokane Tribe of Indians: the upper band, the middle band, the lower band, and the Tooele band. Since time immemorial, the Spokane Tribe of Indians have lived and cared for these lands, identifying themselves as flesh of the earth. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. We show our gratitude to the land, river, and people who've been fishing, hunting, gathering here for generations. May we learn from one another's stories so that we may nurture the relationships of the people of the Spokane tribe and those we share this land with. Monday, October 14th is the Indigenous Peoples' Day, and I think it's time for us to create an acknowledgement. And also, I wish you would consider going to evening meetings. I've invited 2,000 people, and they all say, well, I can't, I work. Anyway, I do have statements for you, but I don't, as a teacher, I don't hand out anything that you're going to read when I'm talking.
Thank you, Susie. And I believe the 15th, we do have a night budget roundtable, so I hope to see 2,000 people out here, or I'm going to call your bluff, Susie. All right. Next up, Craig Volosing. Sorry if I got the last name wrong there. Okay.
So it is Craig Volosing. I'm a West Plains resident. My address remains the same. I will first gratefully acknowledge that as a Board of Commissioners, you seem ready to take some meaningful steps to address the PFAS pollution crisis that we are enduring out on the West Plains. The conclusion of your discussion this morning indicates that you will assemble a working group to study, guide, and provide relief and remediation for the victims of PFAS well water contamination downstream from the airport. That is well and good. Please move quickly. So far, you have left this matter to Commissioner French. As a result, we have been offered 2 plans for clean water. The first was piping water from the aquifer. The promise to accomplish this in 2 years was, at best, laughable. No wonder this was regarded as a Hail Mary pass for a political campaign. And now a plan for filters. This plan comes off to us again as another Hail Mary for the campaign. Questions as to the security of information we are asked to submit are answered with, and I quote, "We are working on that." One of our residents, some 3 weeks ago, asked 17 very thoughtful and pertinent questions as to this program and how it will operate. The reply from Mr. French's office was that these questions were being referred to, quote, "a public relations individual." A public relations individual? And still no answers. Further, the result is a declining in confidence and trust. By extension, the level of confidence and trust in county government is also slipping. You will take a big first step in restoring that level by assembling a broad and robust working group. Call it whatever, and the sooner the better. We are nearly 7 years behind where we could have been in this mess, and you are all aware where the responsibility lies for much of that delay. And could you please move these meetings to the evening? You are disenfranchising the working class of Spokane County by holding them at your convenience in the afternoon. Thank you.
John Hancock.
I'm John Hancock. I live at 3721 North Garfield Road in Spokane. After this morning's planning meeting, I tore up my notes because it was such a terrific, constructive, energetic, good-hearted endorsement of the plans that I think we all share now. And it's good to hear that acknowledged, to see the level of engagement and skill and imagination in the room. And so it feels like an important step has been achieved. And Mr. French, it's clear that you're hustling, and I say thank you. And you answered some questions this morning that were on Craig's list. So it's great to know that there's a deeper level of detail than we've known about. So it was great that that planning meeting online allowed us to clue in on all of what's been done. But it's really complicated. For 2 years, the coalition has been addressing the needs of neighbors just on that chemical, just in our neighborhood. And we've worked with all the agencies you named this morning. And it's not easy to solve or understand some of the roadblocks or the questions having to do with this funding, both federal and state. And here's the reason, that the National Clean Water Drinking Act excludes private well owners. And that's 1 million of us in Washington. So the pipelines of money from EPA through DOH through ecology don't get to my house. So the need of 1 million people is outside the current web of funding and investigations and assessment and strategic planning and aid and all that. So it's not just how do we get the money flowing towards us. It has to get all the way down through channels that we have to build. So we've got to break some habits. We've got to change some regulations. We've got to imagine what could happen. And the what ifs have to be answered by this planned task force, by people in the room who can move us quickly. Because the staffers who know the details can't contribute much to the what ifs. And if the agency leaders who are in the room don't know the answers to the technical questions, then it's just delay and no, go ask that guy, not us. It's a whole round of why PFAS has persisted for so long without this multi-agency engagement. I look forward to being at the table. If it feels like I'm crowding in on you, it's true, because that's what my neighbors have asked me to do on their behalf. So bravo to you all, and thank you.
Next, Becky Dickerhof.
I'm here today to ask Becky Dickerhof, Spokane City. I am here today to ask the county commissioners to enact what is commonly referred to as a 1590 tax. This ordinance, which amended RCW 82.14.530, allows a county legislative authority to impose a sales and use tax not to exceed 0.1% of the selling price in the case of a sales tax or value of the article used in case of a use tax. Just like his counterparts across the nation, Sheriff Nowles recently came to the county commissioners to outline his plan to sweep homeless encampments throughout Spokane County. Sweeping, as its name implies, is touted as a method of cleaning the community of homeless as though they are filth, but they are human beings who have ended up in an impossible situation. For a wide array of reasons, they have lost their ability to find housing. For the residents of encampments, it is a matter of finding a safe place to sleep. If the sheriff begins his program of sweeping, where are those individuals supposed to go? Spokane has not had adequate housing or shelter beds for those experiencing homelessness. As I have explained before, the cost of housing surpasses the minimum wage pay, especially if you are limited to less than 40 hours. Many of the homeless, those couch surfing, living in vehicles, are struggling to find affordable housing in a community that is focused more on single-family houses in the 500,000 category. But the people who are in encampments have a limited support system. Often they were the children of the homeless. They were victims of some type of financial disaster. They are fighting just to survive. What is the effectiveness of encampment sweeps? Since 2019, sweeping has surged as a nationwide response to homelessness. Since the Supreme Court's Grants Pass ruling in June, law enforcement increased sweeping. Breaking up encampments increases the risks of the homeless, who are more likely to become victims when they lose what community they had. Instead of directing law enforcement against the homeless, we should be focused on those responsible for the violence and exploitation against this community. In 2023, the Congress received reports from the FBI showing there was no significant correlation between homelessness levels and crime rates across the U.S. Further, studies by Seattle Pacific University and Oxford University supports this finding. These findings challenge the perception that homelessness directly impacts community safety. A 2022 survey showed they are likely to be victims of theft, harassment, physical assaults, and murder. Sweeping encampments without any alternative shelter merely shifts the problem out of sight without protecting those at risk. Instead of reducing crime, it funnels more homeless individuals into the criminal system, which reduces their chances of becoming housed. Instead of focusing on sweeping, we should be focusing on increasing stable, permanent, low-income housing. Thank you.
And our last speaker is Mary Benham.
Mary Benham, West Plains. We thank you for actively pursuing the EC grant I brought to your attention last week. The West Plains community wants to work collaboratively with all of you. PFAS contamination from the Spokane airport should be addressed as a city-county issue by the entire Board of County Commissioners. According to the Municipal Research and Services Center, a nonprofit that helps local governments, citizen participation is encouraged in shaping land use policies under the Growth Management Act, and a good portion of constituent input is on environmental and land use issues. On April 23rd, one commissioner proposed a plan to pipe water, quote, to every home in the West Plains. This plan to commit the county to a major hydrogeological engineering project should be discussed by the entire board, including water personnel. As stated last week, most West Plains residents are not in the urban growth area. We are zoned rural without water and sewer service. Rather than have attorneys negotiate agreements, it seems prudent that the plan to pipe river water to homeowners should be postponed. We need to focus now on timely, realistic, and collaborative solutions to the West Plains PFAS crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that does it for open public forum. This will move us on to our agenda, and I do want to state just for the record, we are going to strike item 4L. Just not quite ready for prime time. Got a little more work to do on that. So I would be open to a motion on items 3 and 4, excluding 4L.
Mr. Vice Chair, I would move that we approve items 3A and 4A through K as presented on today's agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any conversation? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 5. This is a public hearing, and we have a presentation by Monty Chamberlain.
Awesome. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Monty Chamberlain with the Building Department. The developer agreement before you this afternoon is the resolution of the traffic impact by a project building apartment buildings at the corner of Pittsburgh and Farwell up north. The traffic impact is to the DOT intersection there at Highway 2 and Farwell. The mitigation money that comes from the agreement will be held by the County Public Works Department until the DOT moves forward with a project to improve the intersection. Specifically, they're going to put in a enhanced right-hand turn lane on the southwest corner to improve going around that intersection. The agreement has been signed by the developer. The agreement is supported by Washington State DOT and the County Public Works Department, and the Building Department recommends that the county accept the agreement. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Monty? I know we were briefed on this last week. Okay. Thank you, Monty. All right. This is a public hearing, so anybody wishing to testify on public hearing item number 5, please come forward. Second call. I'll look to Ron. Anybody online? No? Okay. Third and final call. Seeing nobody wishing to testify, we'll just a few more seconds. Nobody online? Okay. We will close the public hearing, and I will look to my fellow commissioners for a motion.
Mr. Vice Chair, I would move that we approve the executing of a development agreement with Farwell Project LLC for mitigation regarding certain improvements to the intersection of Highway 2 and Farwell Road as presented by staff today.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final comments, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You can do a thumbs up too, Commissioner Keenan.
There we go. I got it. Thank you.
All right. Motion passes unanimously. All right, well, that does it for everything on our printed agenda here. So we will sign some documents. I will look down. I believe we have one executive session, correct?
Yes, correct. Mr. Vice Chair, I do have one executive session for pending potential litigation pursuant to RCW 4231.10(1)I. This matter will involve the board, myself, and CEO Scott Simmons. It should take approximately 10 minutes, and no action is needed.
Okay. We will go into executive session for the stated purpose. I will ask Commissioner Cuney, do we have permission to use your stamp? Yes, we do. Okay. Well, then we will adjourn our regular meeting. We'll head into executive session as stated by our legal, and everybody else. We'll see you.